So you want a mob farm that will get you bones, gunpowder, and lots of other goodies, and you want it to be super simple to make and very, very early game. Well, I got a great design for you, and it's going to be a lot more simple than what you're looking at right now, but this is the basis of what we are going to build together. This one is very similar to the one that we're going to be building. I just made some modifications to it, and you can see this buildup of mobs right here. We're gonna get all of the too high mobs. I made it so that we won't get spiders because spiders just kind of clog the system. You can just come in here and one hit these guys and they'll just go ahead and die, and we can collect up all their goodies. So you can see our storage system down here. I ran this for a little bit and we already got 2 full chests, 3 full chests of stuff, and it's still continuing to grow. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this build. I'm going to put the comment highlight on the screen right now. If you want one of your comments to be highlighted in one of my future videos, all you have to do is leave a nice comment below and subscribe to this channel. Also, if you want to suggest any future farms, you can do that in the comments below, or you can join my Discord. The link to join the Discord is below, and thanks to Sapphire X Soldier for putting that together for me. That was super helpful. Okay, let's get back into the content. So when you're trying to decide where to put this thing, you should keep in mind that you are going to have to get rid of all the other hostile mobs in the area for this thing to work efficiently. So there's 2 ways that you can do this and have it work efficiently. You can either put it in the air and put it 128 blocks in the air. That way you'll be far away enough from any other ground or any other mobs that the only mobs that'll be spawning will be the mobs in this building. The other way you can do that is go ahead and light up all the caves in the area and light up all the ground. 128 blocks in every direction from where you're going to be AFKing. So think about a sphere, and you want to make it so that no other mobs are going to be spawning in that 128 block sphere around you. Once you know where you want to build this thing, let's go ahead and build the platform where we will actually be standing. Okay, so now we have the platform, and now we need to think about where the mobs are actually going to drop onto. So we can go ahead and have them drop onto this 2x2 platform right here. Now that we have that, we want the mobs to drop exactly 22 blocks, and if they drop 22 blocks, they'll only be 1 hit, so we can go ahead and get the last hit on them, and we can use this as an experience farm as well as a mob farm. So once we have this in place, go ahead and build up with whatever building block you want. I'm going to use glass just so that we can see up to the top of this thing. But yeah, you can use any building block you want. So I built this up 23 blocks into the air. And as you can see, if a creeper falls from this height right here, 23 blocks, he's still alive. And if we go down here, we can just like tap him and he'll die. Right? And I just want to show you that this is the maximum height that we want to build this thing. So then if this creeper falls off and falls onto this other platform that's 1 block further down, it's going to die. So that's how we know that this is the height that we want it. And then at this point, we're going to go ahead and replace that block right there. And now we need to build this out 8 because this is where we are going to put a water flow that is going to push all the mobs down this hole. So as you can see, we have a 2x8 platform right here, and that's perfect. Now we need to build up the edges all the way around this platform. So build up the edges until it looks like this, and then we can go ahead and put water in there and see that the water flows exactly to the edge. Now that we have that sort of design done, let's go ahead and put all of the glass in place, or whatever building block you want, to make this whole tube where the mobs are going to be falling down. Okay, so now I made the tube that goes all the way down that's going to contain all the mobs that are going to fall. Now we need to go ahead and make this shape on every single side here so that every side looks like this. Okay, so now it should look like this from the top. And these are going to be all the streams where the mobs are going to get pushed down the middle. And I forgot to show you this before, but this tube doesn't really need these corners on it. You can just go ahead and just put those sides in to save on some resources. Now the next step is to fill in all of these blocks here until we get this to be a solid platform. So when you have one corner done, it should look like this. And now we're just going to do the same thing and fill in all the corners here. Okay, so now once we filled in all the platforms like that, the farm should look like this. And now what we need to do is we need to fill up all these sides. So bring it up to around the outside of this whole thing. Okay, now once you've brought up the sides, it should look like this with a little box inside. I'm gonna add in some carpets in here just so that we don't spawn any spiders. This is completely optional. You could just have it spawn spiders, but the spiders do tend to get stuck in here and they don't normally go down the hole. So they do kind of clog up the farm. So I do recommend putting in all of these carpets. And that's the design we're gonna use. And we need to put that on all of these corners so that we can prevent any spiders from spawning in here. Once you have all the carpet in place, it should look like this. And now the last thing we need to do to make sure that this thing is going to work is we need to put a roof over it. And be careful during this part because it is going to get dark in here. And as soon as it gets dark, it will start spawning mobs in here. So be careful when you put the roof over the top. Okay, cool. And when you put the roof on, you don't need to cover up the corners. It will stay dark in here even if you don't do that. So let's go ahead and see what it looks like from the inside. So it is completely dark in here, as you can see. So let's go ahead and go down to the bottom. So the last thing you really need to do is just put some slabs underneath like that. And then make sure that you light up any caves around you so that you're not spawning any other monsters. Like you can see, just this shadow alone down here made it so that we spawn some mobs down here, some hostile mobs. So now if we just sit here long enough, we'll see some of the mobs falling down here. So now this thing is essentially done, but I'm going to keep going and add some cool features that I think you guys will like and want to add onto yours as well. But as you can see, we added these slabs so that they can't see us when we get under here, and they're all just a one-hit kill at this point. So next, let's set up the system to actually collect all of these goodies. And I also want to add in a section in here where you can push over some magna blocks so that you can just not even be around and still be collecting these drops. And one more thing, before we get into that, I just want to mention you can tile this. So that's what I did on that one. I just built more layers on top of this one, and that will get us some more hostile mobs. Like this one's going to be making more mobs than this one because this one has more layers. So there's more room for hostile mobs to actually spawn in that one. So let's go ahead and add in all of the blocks and mechanics that we need to actually get the magna blocks in there if we want it to be in there. So go ahead and add a 2x2 section of magna blocks right next to it, and then another 2 building blocks right there, which I'm using spruce planks, but I mean, like, you could use any building block you want for this whole thing. And now we need room for 2 blocks in between here, and we're gonna go ahead and put sticky pistons on the end, and then we need normal pistons in front of those. Once you have the pistons in place, we're gonna need 4 observers all facing towards the actual area where all the mobs are, and then we're going to need some blocks going into the face of the observers, and then just some blocks leading all the way to the front here. Then put a button on the front of the face, on the front of these blocks right here, and then a redstone line going all the way back into the observers right there. So now whenever we press this button, it's going to extend the magna blocks into place, and it's going to pull all that back. Now we need to build that same thing on this side as well so that we can get it back and push these platforms back into place. Okay, so now you can see I went ahead and mirrored the same thing on this side. So now when we press this button, we can get those planks under there instead of the magna blocks so that we can use this as an experience farm, and they'll just be down here and they'll be one hit, and we can just come in here and swipe at them with a sword. For now, I'm just going to leave the magna blocks under there. And now let's go ahead and set up the collection system underneath. To set up the collection system underneath, we need to make a platform with 1 block in between the magna blocks or the spruce plank blocks, and then the bottom here. We're going to use a hopper minecart to collect everything. Right here, we're going to put a line of hoppers, which is going to face into the chest that we're going to put down. On this side, you can see where a hopper line is going to come into. We need chests that are 1-2 blocks below that. So I'm go ahead and just put a bunch of double chests down here. I'm going to do 4 for now. And then what we need to do is we need hoppers going into each one of those, and then a hopper going into that last one. And then this is where we put our hopper line. So just like that, it should look like that with those hoppers on top of these hoppers going into the chests. Once you have all that in place, we can set up the rails. So go ahead and put the power rail there, and then go ahead and put the normal rails snaking all the way back over to that block right there. We can go ahead and put the hopper minecart on that rail. And then to actually power those rails, we need to build 2 blocks below once again. And then all we need to do is put a redstone torch on each of those, and it's going to power that hopper minecart. So now we should have already been collecting some of the drops. So if we come down here, we can see all the drops are coming in there now. Cool, so this thing is all done and dusted now. I hope you like the little additions I added on there at the end. You could make this thing super early game if you just make it with a bunch of blocks that you have and then just a couple water buckets up there. That's really all you need to make this thing. The hardest part is probably going to be lighting up all the chests, but I mean, of course, if you build it up in the air about 128 blocks off of the ground, then you're not going to have any problem at all with this farm. I hope this helped some of you out. If it did, definitely leave a like because that helps me out a lot. And I would love to see you guys in future content. And a way that you can make sure that I see you in future content is by subscribing so that you can hang out with me in future videos. Cool. So I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye for now.